Hello and welcome to the Great Minds Together podcast,
where we explore neurodiversity, mental health, inclusive practice and the lived experiences that drive positive change.
Each episode we speak with inspiring young people, parents, professionals and change makers who are shaping the world of neurodiversity, SEND policies and everything in between.
Whether you're a parent, practitioner, young person or simply passionate about inclusion,
you're in the right place.
So, with that being said,
let's get into today's conversation. Hello everybody and welcome to the last podcast of Series 5 and the last one of 2025. We're going to do a roundup of the year on this episode, and we've had some questions in which we're going to work through and answer as we go. But first, how are we all today?
ready for Christmas?
Yeah, all organised?
For once in my life, yeah, actually.
I'm quite organised this year. I'm never organised, so I don't really know what's going on, but I'm going with it. Normally, every year, I will buy one thing. Do you remember I was saying this to you when we went shopping? And I bought the advent calendars. I was like, right, that's me, did organised for this year. I've got advent calendars, that's amazing. And then nothing happens, and then I'm running around like a headless chicken on Christmas Eve every year. Because I bought one thing in November, in my head, I just think that that's me being organised. And then before you know it, it just speeds up like Benny Hill and it's Christmas week. So let's get started and kick off with these questions then. So the first one we've had is, if you had to describe 2025 at GMT in one sentence, what would it be?
The whirlwind.
Yes, big learning curve, definitely. Hell on earth.
Times very hard,
Yeah. Educating, yeah.
Hard on the soul, but we've got through it. And
is it your first year back?
yeah, just done my first.
Completed your first year back. How have you found that?
Good, yeah.
In comparison to previously when you were last here, what would you say is different now to then?
The environment.
Yeah.
The mood. We've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I've loved having you.
It's been great.
Yeah, just been, I mean, when I first started, I would have been classed as a young person, wouldn't I?
All adults and grown up.
Yeah, I just feel like I found my feet.
Yeah. And do you think it's been a good decision coming out of the education system back into the third sector? I suppose you've got like a direct comparison now as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, at the time it was good for what I needed for school term time, and my little girl just started school, but it's just so compassionate.
That's my problem for me. There's too much sentiment in my business. That's my issue.
It's created that environment though, hasn't it? Whatever you're doing, it's right.
Yeah, definitely. What moment made you stop and think, this is why we do what we do?
One moment. People we've worked with this year, where it's been really hard work, got to a point where we don't know where to go next, and then we just found that little bit of a niche outside the box. Let's try this and just maybe it'll work, and it has. And I think we've done some really good work with a lot of the families.
Yeah.
And loads of really positive stories come out of that. And the family's feedback as well. So I think hearing their feedback, knowing that whilst we know what we're doing is good, to hear it from the family directly back, it's an amazing moment.
I think if I was to choose one particular moment, I would say when I took it upon myself to represent myself at the High Court, with a young person who was being purposefully destabilised for all of the wrong reasons by a particular local authority. And it was going to go the same way it goes for all children, young people in that kind of situation. And I just wrote to the judge and did things outside of the box, didn't follow any rules, didn't follow any processes, was allowed into court, was allowed to submit evidence even though I wasn't party to proceedings, had the evidence made party to proceedings, which is a precedent set. It actually did change the course in that moment of what was going to happen with that young person. And that's where I've gone, this is why we do what we do, because it's about thinking outside the box. Just because a system runs a certain way, just because there's rules in place, just because there's tick box exercises that exist, doesn't mean you have to follow them. If it's wrong for that child, do something different, do something about it. And I remember them saying, the local authority being really fuming actually, that I'd wrote to the judge and the judge had taken into account the evidence I submitted, and the judge actually saying, well, I didn't realise actually when I read the evidence that Miss Manda wasn't party to proceedings. But however, I have now read it and I can't unknow that information, and therefore I will be making decisions based on what I now know. And so many things have come from that, which is the plan now to try and change the law in allowing providers to be made party to proceedings. because at the minute you have got a whole system where in every other court of law, everything is decided based on evidence and facts, apart from a deprivation of liberty hearing, where a local authority or a social worker can go in, say this is what's happening, and then nobody's there to challenge that. Nobody's there to provide anything to the contrary, and judges are making judicial decisions that are unsafe without knowing, with only part of the story. So it's really important that providers are brought in that can represent the true reality of that child's life on the ground. And that's hopefully what we'll achieve with the trajectory that we're now on with that process. Yeah. But basically, if you ever think something's going wrong with a child or young person, just do something about it. Even if it's like, oh, you can't do that, or you can't write to a judge, or you're not party to proceeding. Well, what's the worst that can happen?
It's not harming anyone.
I got told off for contacting the judge by a solicitor that wasn't even my solicitor. And am I okay with that consequence of a little bit of a rap on the knuckles? I mean, they did it tongue in cheek, like I should really tell you off. Okay.
Yeah.
That's me told off, thank you. That's all that happened. But the outcome was better for the child as a result of being brave enough to go against the grain. So if I was to choose one moment, that would be it. Got on my soapbox side, didn't I? Don't get me started.
What about you, Rach?
Yeah.
One moment for you.
Your answers are going to be so different.
Yeah, all saying really sentimental stuff online of like,
well, your stuff has had a big impact.
Well, like the TikTok that got 500 likes. It's a big achievement just generally, the traction that you've gained on social media, because the reach is massive now. We hit the Creator Fund this year, which will just help us spread the word around awareness of all the things that we want to do that we're posted on socials, and the branding's on point. You've got us looking really professional, like we know what we're actually doing.
It's been a process, hasn't it? But we're there, and it's
It's been stressful for you.
Using a good mindset, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Choosing your colours carefully.
Yeah. What would you say is your one moment then?
My one moment.
Or what, in one sentence, how would you describe it?
I think it was definitely taking the brand and moving it forward into its next era.
Yeah. Do you feel proud of that?
Yeah, really proud, because on paper, it's not what I'm supposed to do. Like, I did finance and I did admin. And yeah, I was really good at that, but I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
And now I've found something that I really enjoy.
I'm really good at.
And
You are.
Yeah.
all right at. And yeah, it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Enjoying what you do.
Really does, yeah.
There's definitely fun in the office. When
Yeah.
Rachel's around with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you notice when I come into the office, a lot of headphones get put on?
Yes. And I'm on a meeting. Well, they do say find a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life again.
Yeah.
So the next one, what surprised you the most about the pace and direction of this year?
For me, I think it's felt like there's been a lot of pace, and at times
And a lot of change of direction.
So it's been pacey and lots of direction, but it's got us to where we need to be.
Yeah, it felt like a bit of a maze at times, a fast maze.
Washing machine, full spin.
You kept hitting the walls and you couldn't find the door. But I think like we've got a window. So
The door will be here by.
yeah, absolutely. What about you, Rach?
Yeah, again, I think the direction, just carry on moving everything forward in terms of like the branding and getting more engagement and getting ourselves out there a bit more. We're hitting on average about K of reach and accounts each month. But there's millions of people in England, and we want to shout about everything we do and how brilliant we are. So just
help educate and create more awareness is the main thing for me. And the bigger reach that we've got, the more people will learn from the things that we're talking about. The podcast has been a huge hit this year, I think.
TikToks have been fun.
Yeah.
Enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Under duress filmed most of the time.
But the duress makes it more.
It's like we're GMT, you can tell that it's kind of run by middle-aged people, because it gets most traction when we film it for TikTok but then post it on Insta Reels. It's like when that reel that says, or that meme, and it says, do you watch TikTok? No, I watch 2 weeks old TikTok on Insta Reels like a grown-up. Right, the next one is, which piece of work had the biggest impact on children, families or practitioners this year?
I'd say our work over in Hampshire and Isle of Wight.
Yeah, huge.
Big
Yes.
for families, for the professionals over there, and for our practitioners.
Yeah.
It's a big piece of work, but it's having a big impact. So I think whilst it is sometimes a long day, a difficult day, what they're getting out of it is really beneficial for both the staff and professionals and the families. So it's keeping everyone on track and moving through together.
Do you know what it's taught me doing that program actually is it's gone so well. Like, we really know what we're doing. Like, I can't, like, each time, like, we've hit certain points where we're presenting and we're in the contract meetings and we're in the oversight meetings and we're, you know, providing all the data and the evidence of the things that the team are achieving. When you look at the delivery now and the scale of it across huge area of England, across education, health, social care, and we've got Hampshire, Portsmouth, Southampton, Isle of Wight, that's about to expand even further. And a team of, well, if you include everybody centrally, around 30 people working on this project. It's just gone so seamlessly. And we're getting the outcome and the evidence and the data of the outcomes. And everybody's just getting on really well. If we see something, we adapt it. Everything is just run really smoothly. If you think and look back now, to mobilise something of such magnitude and scale and there really not be that much stress or worry or major things going wrong, I think that's a testament to the area that we're working with, though, Hampshire and White ICB. I think they've been brilliant. Yeah.
This is what our knowledge and our strong points are.
And they valued it.
They've absolutely valued it and let us sort of run with it. And as the experts in that area, if you like, what can you do? How can we do it?
Yeah.
Then it's really nice.
And you just constantly pushing an open door with everybody. I mean, I've always said the differences between health and local authority. And we're so used to working with local authorities and it just feeling like an uphill battle for most of them, not all of them. But most of them really stuck in a fixed, archaic mindset, which they don't realise they are. And you're just constantly trying to help change that mindset. Whereas I think what's been really refreshing is they're all already in that mindset that we're in the ICB. And I think that's a health thing. I think most people in the health service just get it. And that's so much better to work with those people because they're just on the same road and we're all trying to achieve the same thing. Whereas it feels like when you're working with some local authorities, they say that that's the outcome they want, but their actions are completely the opposite. Yeah. And it's almost like they're trying to make it look a certain way and then act a certain way to cover up what they're not doing, but saying that they are doing. And I think we're so used to working like that when we're working with an organisation, the ICB, that actually are doing what they say they're doing. And you're literally like, really? Are you really doing it this way? And it's been lovely.
And I think on the other side of that, internally, we've identified the right people to pick up those right jobs. So getting that data, streamlining the information, getting to the right person to collect the data, report the data, deliver the data. Yeah. Everyone's
identifying each person's like unique skill set that brings something to the programme, like you with the design of all, creating awareness of what we're delivering, and Manon and Sarah doing all the data and evidence gathering, and then you've got the team who are like the practitioners and the management and going out talking about it and then deliver. I'm so proud of us, like when you think about and everything we've weathered this year as well. Whilst doing that at the same time, you wouldn't even realise that we were doing something so huge with all of the stress that came with this year, which I'm sure we'll touch on with some of the others.
Just going, I can see that's hard. I can see what I can do over here. Can I do anything else to help with that?
The team, honestly, are just the creme de la creme of people for me. And everybody that is here that have literally just dug deep for us, recognised what we needed. The hardest year we've ever had in the whole 7 years of GMT, for a variety of different reasons. The people that have just kind of gone, do you know what, let's do things differently. It might not be my job role, but what do you need? I'm here. And that's really, it's restored my faith in humanity a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Quite emotional on that. Where am I up to? What's the next question? Where did we see the most powerful evidence of neuroaffirming practice actually change in real lives? Same programme, really.
Anyone that we've met with has not wanted to be on that page and change how things are done and bring us into the now. This is the new generation. People from older generations being able to see who they are now as well, because everyone's just more accepting, understanding. I get it. You are who you are. We'll work with that, and there's no judgment of it.
I'd say that quite a lot of, nearly all the people we've come across in Hampshire and Isle of Wight, particularly the ICB, I don't think there's a single person we've come across that isn't neuroaffirming, that isn't flexible in their thinking and goes out of their way to understand how other people think differently and need different things.
We feel like we've done everything, but what else can we do? We're open to ideas. Not don't tell us what to
They
do.
even have meetings about what could we have done more, how could we have done better, which is and actually really constructive meetings, not just a tick box learning circle type meeting, an actual, right guys, this is everything that we did, what could we have done differently, and actually if it doesn't exist, think about how it could exist for us to do it differently, which is so new and really good way of working. Yeah. So everybody get on to Hampshire Nails, like they're doing it well. So the next one is, what's a success story from this year that still gives you goosebumps?
The hub.
Yeah.
Yeah, that day when we opened the hub,
Yeah, it was cute.
got real good.
It was a lovely day. And I think
Yeah.
the stuff we've done at the hub and what is next to come for the hub is just going to be an ongoing success for so long.
Yeah.
So many people will be able to access it.
And I think for me, seeing the young people that we've supported through our service be the ones working there and opening, that was a real moment. Yeah.
For it to carry on into our Christmas toy drive, food appeal, like
Honestly,
how much good we can do for
yeah, Dale and Julie are absolute legends. Like, they have just achieved so many donations. Just been to Lidl and got a full truck of toys.
Does anybody want a spare freezer?
It's my favourite place. Like, the personality, the love, the care, the nurture that exists in that building is something that if you could bottle it and sell it, you'd be a millionaire.
Yeah. You know, there's so many local organisations, big supermarkets, smaller businesses, partners that we work with that have wanted to get involved and either donate a day or some time or items, food bank, toys, clothing. It's been lovely. So
yeah, everyone's pulled together, haven't they, to get it all up and running. Another moment for me would be Grace, and just seeing how far she's come from being on and she doesn't mind us talking about this, being on our tier 3.5 service and going through hell actually for quite a long time as a result of various external influences, and her now working for us to the point where she's literally on the road to potentially even becoming a social worker at this point and making
I'm literally getting goosebumps as you say.
Yeah.
Talking about goosebump moment.
So lovely.
Yeah.
And she's just so brilliant and resilient and straight. Like, she's absolutely the kind of person you want working in the system, who's had that experience, who can be like, no, guys, this is not how you do it. You do it this way. And she's just so likeable and so lovable. And
coming in as a young person champion after being through all of that, and then wanting to give more, like, that's not enough. I want to do more. Small amount of hours. I want to be there. I want to get involved. I'll travel over. I'll do whatever.
Yeah. She's learnt loads, and now she's doing.
I think she's found a niche now.
And Daria's just been amazing with her, and she really sees a potential. And, you know, some people have just really got that skill to help others develop and train. And I just think you've got to have the patience of a saint to be able to do that. And like teachers, you know, it's really hard to have that patience and understand people's different ways of thinking and remembering things. And she literally,
I'm in social work.
It's like she's found a little key slot and opened it up, and she's just absolutely thriving. She's going to come on the podcast actually next year, so I'm really excited for that. Let's move on to some reflection around the system then. The next question is, what did 2025 teach us about the state of neurodiversity and care in the UK?
I think what I've seen the most of, and it's probably the bit that I have more of an insight into, probably because I work in it, I've got kids in it, and probably being in it myself as a young person. But the education system it's always been a battle, and we've always had those conversations trying to understand and meet in the middle of staff are working at a school in a system that it is how it is, and then find those lovely teachers, support staff, office staff who just get it, know it, really want to help you, but needing to make that massive change across the system. I think there are pockets there is some change coming in neurodiversity within education.
Yeah.
There's definitely some change coming. I think our young people growing up in it, becoming the next, you know, whether it's teachers, whether we stay in schools, who knows what the future brings, but being the next educators in whatever way that looks, I think there's some big changes coming there, and it is starting to show in little pockets here and there. During that, we've got some schools now that we're working with that want us to come and help us, a bit like the ICB down south. You know, we want to change, we've got some ideas, we just need a little bit of support or someone in school to deliver something for us. They want us there to make that change.
It's definitely turning a corner. I feel like the second half of the last couple of months of this year really is the first time I've really noticed there's been so much conversation, particularly in Parliament, and all the things that they're churning out and generating at the minute are all really in line with what needs changing. And there seems to be a real drive and energy behind that, not just in education, but in the care system as well. I think this year, I would say what this year taught me about the state of neurodiversity in care in the UK is that actually so many places are starting to get it right that the ones that are not are standing out like a sore thumb. Yeah. And actually that still in 2025, you've got certain local authorities working in a certain way that is absolutely criminal. And there is not one, this has been the biggest learning for me. There is not one single body, process, person, organisation, governmental official, whatever you want to call it, that can do anything about a local authority making a wrong and unsafe decision that can cause actual harm to a child. Having navigated that now twice with two particular young people in respect of one particular local authority in the northwest, let's say. And even going to Ofsted, I mean, we went to Ofsted to ask for help and said, we can predict, we can see, we've seen this happen before. This is what's going to happen. We can see the warning signs. This is what's coming. And this is what's coming for this child. And here's going to be the outcome for this child because we've seen it before. So we can tell you and predict you. And last time we came to you after the fact retrospectively and we said, we need you to help with what's happened to this child. And you said, there's nothing you can do about it. So we're coming to you in advance because we can see it coming. And they said, there's nothing that we can do about it. And I remember actually saying the words to the Ofsted inspectors that we went to for help to prevent trauma happening. This regulatory body who is responsible for keeping the children safe in our country, what is the point of you then? We can't get involved in individual cases. We can't overrule a local authority. Who can? No one. So what needs to change? I think what I've learned is that needs to be identified as a real issue, a really unsafe, huge safeguarding issue that exists in our country that not one single organisation, regulatory body or anybody can overrule a decision made for a local authority, even if there is reams of evidence that says this is wrong, what's happening. And here are lies that are taking place. And here is an agenda behind the decisions as a result of cost-saving exercises or issues with providers or whatever it might be. The child is not at the centre of this, and here's all the evidence and proof. Not even a judge in a court of law can overrule the decision around a placement for a child. And that is seriously, seriously concerning because local authorities are in place to remove children from environments that they are unsafe or at risk. What's in place to remove a child from being at risk when they're in local authority care? Absolutely nothing. And they say, oh, we've got Ofsted, or we've got all of these processes, or we've got the DfE, we've got commissioners, we've got... Actually, none of them can do anything because we've navigated all of those processes. We've spoken to all of those people. I emailed the director of Ofsted myself directly. Still couldn't do everything. You've got all that power. You're the director of the whole of Ofsted for the whole country. Can't do nothing. So that's what I learned about 2025 and our system. And that is what we're going to change. But yeah, it gets me really mad.
I think it's good to navigate it though and then not go, well, we can't change that. So let's just move on.
And too many people do that. Can't change that. It's the way it is.
We know where we're at now. What can we do next? Which we need, which I think we've probably been in that education space a little bit longer. So we're seeing those changes there. And I think they're on the ground with those young people, so they probably see it more. Whereas your Ofsted inspectors are in and out in a few days.
It depends on the people. It all depends on the people. Sometimes you get one that's really good that gets it. You know, we've had conversations with an inspector at the CQC whose child has been through very similar, needing similar support to what we provide, and they just totally got it. And it's the people that get it and the people that don't.
Experience really helps.
Exactly. Fortunately, the system is run largely by the people that don't get it. They need to. That's it. The whole system would run so much better if it was just led by neurodivergent people. Which, you know, when they were talking about the stuff in Parliament, actually, quite a lot of them people that are standing up and in the House of Commons at the moment talking about loads of stuff will start with, my child has, or I am, or... And they're the ones who are really advocating for change because they get it and they see it. And the more people that you can get, how inclusive are you, government? Let's get some more neurodivergent MPs.
Well, that's a conversation I had with a head teacher that we work with said that, you know, there's another change coming recently for them with Ofsted, and they cannot now, they can no longer now say we are an inclusive school. We have to prove and show how we are inclusive. What are you doing with your children? Young people?
Good.
Helping them. So evidence-based.
And if that's
really
the case,
idea.
and you're expecting schools to do that, and you're introducing, you should do this in government. In fact, I think government should do a survey and publish the findings of how many neurodivergent people exist currently in government.
So that was an interesting one.
It really was. And I'm so proud of like how highly weighted we are neurodivergent in our organisation, and how many of us, I mean, I don't really think there's anybody that hasn't got a level of lived experience, whether it's with a relative or otherwise. And I think that's why things have been so good this year, because such a high percentage of us have that creative mindset.
Sometimes I'll sit in meetings and I don't necessarily think it's my sort of strong point that the conversation, the topic we're having, but I will have a bit of a random light bulb and think, that's a stupid thing to say. I can't just do it like that. And then when I do say it, it's like, oh, actually, I did not thought about that. Because my brain works differently to yours and to yours.
Yeah. 9 times out of 10, you're saying what everyone's thinking. I just don't want to say
it. You have to say it. And do you know what? If it's not right, it is what it is.
I've been on meetings so many times where I've like thought ahead and thought, oh, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to sound stupid. I'm not going to say that. And then I say it. And then about 5 hands go up and go, I was thinking that. I'm glad you said that. Or it goes in the chat, and then you should just always be confident in, because you're probably thinking what everybody else is thinking. Yeah, exactly. No, that was a good one. If you could fix one systemic problem tomorrow based on everything we've witnessed this year, which would it be?
Just because, again, it's close to my heart and my home, currently, behaviour policies.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's just a topic every week. And all
therapeutic behaviour policies.
Then it's just we just lay it out with some common sense, take the control out of it, just children, regardless of being at high school. Let them work through what they might have done that was not necessarily what you wanted them to do at that time. Why did you do it? Let them understand it, kind of help you. Actually, now you've explained it, I get it, so let's just move on from it. Why are we sitting in rooms for half an hour, 45 minutes?
So old-fashioned, like, literally.
Conversation about it. And again,
how are you learning from that?
With some of my...
It's like there's evidence that it doesn't work, it makes behaviour worse. And this has been published evidence that detentions and isolation not only don't work, but have the opposite effect. So why are we not, as a system, operating on the evidence and data that is being published, that people are spending the time to figure out and learn and understand, and then go, here you go, guys, what you're doing isn't working. And you're wondering why you've got behaviour issues in your school. Or maybe if you actually looked at the data and evidence, they don't work. It's been saying that for more than a decade, if not more. I don't understand why they don't listen to that.
No, and like as a parent, I know that I'm sorry to the schools that my children go to, they do get emails from it, and I do just sort of point it out and say, oh, it's not a prison, and they can go to the toilet if they need to.
Yeah.
They can wear a coat if they're cold or whatever. Again, sometimes I'm met with, that's absolutely fine, and I get it from the teachers that get it, and they understand the system they're working in and have to kind of go along with some of it. Then practitioners are going into meetings with schools and BT meetings and having the same conversations on behalf of the families we work with. Understand this child. I think, Ginny's had a great outcome with the police. About
I know.
Welcomed again down south in Country White, welcomed her in. Come and see what we see on our side, explain to us.
That was amazing. Literally invited her in to watch the body cam footage and give the police direction on how they could have supported that young person better in that situation. Honestly,
come in and tell us, and we can show you, and then we can see it from both sides, because we understand you are the police, you have a job to do. We understand that's not really probably a job for you to do. Actually, that young person they didn't need the police. They don't need to be criminalised. There's no one else to go out. You've gone out and done what you felt was right at the time within the realms of what you've got available. Then you're asking, what could we do differently? That young person.
I love that. Yeah,
perfect.
No, that would be definitely having them all have therapeutic behaviour policies and just get rid of the whole detention. It's just power mad. It's what it is. It just feels like do as I say, not as I do, like kind of approach. And we're not in that world anymore. We're not in that. What would you change, Rach?
Personally, coming from like a parent's view, I would change the way we view neurodiversity in girls. I got diagnosed in January with ADHD. But I fell through every single net possible because I was well behaved and I did what I was told, and I sat there and I didn't argue. I was always, every parent's evening, she's one of the best in behaviour.
But no one identified the anxiety behind.
No, and it was through your fear of getting told off. So I'd come home and I'd be really, really emotional. And I remember my sister, she's 9 years older than me, used to be like, well, Margie, you're crying. And like in hindsight, these little things make sense. Now I'm like hyper aware of how I was as a child and how these things got missed, I noticed them in my daughter, and I don't want her to struggle. Like primary school was great, so in a nice small primary school, same as hers. High school, the wheels came off, and I didn't want to be there, but you would have never known that. And she struggles at home, she struggles with bedtime, she struggles with everything, but because school don't see that, they're like, we can't put her forward.
Fine at school.
But luckily, we've moved her from a school out of the local authority that you were saying, and moved her into a fantastic new school, and I can't praise them enough.
In a different local authority.
Same size, nice small little school. And on the first day we looked around, we were obviously coming from quite a traumatic experience at our last school. They said that all the parents, so it wasn't just specific to me telling me what I want to hear. They said, grades are fantastic, but we care about the wellness of the children. And they don't just say it, they mean it. So with my little girl, they took her out to do gardening sessions for a chance to have a talk. If the class is getting a bit loud, like 5 and 6-year-olds do, they go, right, we're going to go out for a run, and take them out for a run. Yeah. No matter what they're doing, pens down. And I was at school just to pop into the office, and they were out doing it, so you know that they're not seeing it. So they've been actually doing extra drop-ins to check in to see if they can see any of that mass slip, because it's inevitable at some point that's going to happen.
And it's really common for girls particularly to be much better at masking.
It's brought into you from a very young age as a girl. You sit down, you behave yourself, you play with your dolls.
Well, the way you've just described, like, I had my ADHD assessment last week, and she asked about my younger years at school. I couldn't give her anything. I was like, I've never heard a bad story about myself. I don't recall being in trouble. My mum would say, and my dad, maybe not my dad. My mum would say I was a perfect child. I was wonderful. I was never any trouble. And then I hit my teens, and I had a little bit of freedom, and I didn't really need to mask. I had a friend who was older than me, so I was going out. And I was just like, whoa, who am I now? Actually, through this whole transition for about 3 or 4 years of just unmasking and becoming
authentically yourself.
And then,
for me, every time I had a chance to leave something, I did. So like school, I had to go there. I didn't want to be there, but I had to. College, still pretty much have to be there, don't you? But I take the mick.
I dropped out of college.
But then
2 hours.
The first time, I went to
spent most of my college years in the pub.
It was different because I was that first year of
you have to go.
I went to dance school, and I thought it was my dream, what I wanted to do. It absolutely crushed my spirit, but that was different. But I dropped out, and then I thought, no, I want to go to uni. Maybe it's just I'm in the wrong place. I dropped out of that. I've done courses since and dropped out, so I think it is.
The signs were there.
The signs were there, but they were just not.
Nobody knew what the signs were.
And people don't realise, and then they're asking you things in assessments where, I blank things out. And unless something triggers a memory, it won't come back at all. And sometimes people have to really go, this, you see it with me all the time. I go, and then I go, oh yeah, but so much is in my brain all the time, constantly, 1,000,001 things that I'm thinking about concurrently all at the same time. And if you've not got that kind of brain, you'll never understand it. And people then wonder, people say to me, I told you that. I'm like, no, you didn't. But at the time, I might have just been aware of about 3 different things going on in the same environment at the same time. Somebody that had messaged my phone, something that I'd forgotten to do that morning, and all at the same point. You've said that to me. You can't hear my brain.
I had a conversation with my partner we were out having dinner the other night in a restaurant, and he was asking me about, my ADHD, how it affects me, my brain, does it bother me to sleep, whatever. And I said, well, you tell me what you know about the other people in this restaurant.
Yeah. But then also, it's like one extreme to the other for me. I can be hyper aware of the most ridiculous thing that nobody will pick up on, or completely unaware of my surroundings, and not pick up on any attention to detail whatsoever. There's like no in between with me. I'm either all in, focused, hyper focused, or totally oblivious to what's going on around me.
And one of the big things that showed it in our family was the 1% Club at the start, because we were all,
oh my god, I love that show. I'm so good at that show.
But then towards the end, because you're tired, and then I'm like, well, the TV's too loud and that light's too bright,
No, you see, I'm really good at that show, because when we watch it together as a family all the time, I could just get the answers like that, and Paul would be like, how do you know that? Like, how did you figure that out so quickly? Like, your brain works in the weirdest way. And that really highlights the differences in all of our brains in the family, because some are just like, the question makes absolutely no sense to me. And then, usually me and Liam go, it's this, straight away. And you just get it. Like, the further on it gets, we're still, oh, that's easy. And Paul's sat there like, I have no idea how you even understand that. But then the ones he can get, I'm like, how did you get that? I have no idea. Yeah.
I failed all my GCSEs because I don't ask me a direct question and then ask me to write it or answer it on. I really struggle with that. I know it's there, I can't get it. So don't even exam situations, not in life. But then riddles and things like that, I know we sat, didn't we? Just going through really random, weird riddly questions.
Do you know that was about 3 Christmases ago, actually?
Oh, was it? Well, timelines and remembering.
Yeah, the opposite.
That's exactly the case in point. What did you do last week? I don't know, but last year I did what it felt like last week.
For all my exams, I passed them and I did really well. And I didn't revise, and it's not like something to be proud of. I just couldn't.
Yeah.
There's no way I was going to school then and coming home and sitting and reading the book. I knew what I needed to know, but when I needed to know it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the way I work best. Just
in the moment.
Give me a test, but don't ask me to like.
I'm really bad with tests, you say. I'm really bad with remembering things, but if you sit and ask me the questions directly, I'll tell you everything that you need to know and probably remember most.
Conversation like this.
I'm better writing it down.
In order to be able to retain information, I have to. So I used to literally copy the revision book into my notebook, line for line, to be able to remember it all.
And I think that's what I used to do in class because I didn't want to be there. And I didn't want to have to socialise. I would write everything the teacher was saying as they were saying it. So it's probably just the way it went in, so I didn't particularly need to revise when I got home, because it'd like, bloody hell, I'm past something now.
And the true neurodivergent style will go completely off whatever.
I was just thinking exactly the same thing. It was so in tune. The last one under the system reflection area would be, what have families told us repeatedly this year that the system still isn't hearing? It's definitely education for me. I think so many other areas of the system are starting to really move forward, really drive forward, and that's really obvious. And for some reason, it's like education just can't even get the motor started.
A backlog or a bottleneck of feel the changes
everywhere else, but not in education. And they all think it is changing, and they'll say that it is changing, but it really isn't, because when you look at the experiences of the kid,
it's the biggest focus for not all of the staff in school, those whose focus it is, like maybe your heads or those, your SMTs, Ofsted ultimately is who they have to report to. So if we do things that then affects that end of year, the test, the attendance, the whatever, the punctuality, the attendance is just. But if they don't follow that process and get what they need for our Ofsted, they can't possibly do that.
Well, my view, Ofsted are the problem across the board, and they're there, originally in place to help make things good, make things safe. And actually, they're the cause of quite a lot of the problems, not just in education, but in social care, in residential settings. They are a real cause for trauma. And the inspectors that approach things just have no open mind, no flexibility. But then that's the laws that they're adhering to and governed by, and that's what needs changing, is the laws around that. And obviously, our plans around trying to introduce a new regulatory body specifically focused on neurodiversity and complex mental health are quite far down the line in how we're going to achieve that. With various exciting conversations that are happening and going to be happening into the new year. And Ofsted are actually hugely the problem, and in residential settings and in education, and they're the ones that they're involved the most in those two areas, and they're the two areas that are currently causing the most trauma for children for the most part.
I think what the parents find most frustrating about that is they might be going to school, having the meetings, having the conversations, trying to get the support, the understanding for their child. But until somebody like one of our practitioners is then involved, another professional saying, well, actually, could we do these reasonable adjustments? Could we try this? Have we done a passport and all about me? Do we understand this child? Have we asked them for their voice? Then all of a sudden they're listening to, and it's like, why didn't you just listen to me? I've been, on this for a year now. We've started high school in year 7 and we've been battling you, and then all of a sudden somebody else says it. And so if you just listen to the parent who knows that child best anyway, might not have the right language or terminology to get, to listen.
And again, it depends on the inspector, because we've had two completely opposite experiences, haven't we? With inspectors with Ofsted, one that just completely gets it and does everything that they can to help you get to where you need to be, and one that comes in, doesn't understand it, and literally brings everything down in an instant with absolutely no conversation or understanding whatsoever. And that's the problem with the whole system, is it's all dependent on people and relationships, and we need to get to a place where everything operates in exactly the same way. Doesn't matter who you're dealing with, doesn't matter who they like, dislike, or have relationships or don't have relationships with. It all operates the same and fairly and equally and safely. Exactly, at the centre.
Be focusing on not who.
Yeah, not bureaucracy, not politics, not funding. The needs of the person at the centre who's being affected by the experiences of your issue with whoever that you've got an issue with that day, because that is really common and not spoken about enough openly.
And again, same, I think the parents would say that if they've not got a good relationship with that head of year that year, or the head teacher or the Senko, then they maybe don't get the outcome that they might want, because they've just not gelled, or they've had a falling out, or...
Yeah.
I think as well, with what you were saying before about our children being the ones who are going to push the change, drive the change, because they're getting up through the world
and experiencing it all.
A lot of head teachers I have met have been from the old school of teaching, whereas the teachers themselves in the class, not the senior leadership team,
that are coming through now,
they're having the different views, and there's quite a lot of
creative thinking.
Yeah, and then like it's fighting against the head teacher who has the ultimate say, or if they're part of the multi-academy trust, the head teacher doesn't even have the final say. It's the trust, and it's
and the trust is typically run by older generation.
But these teachers who are coming from the old style fixed mindset teaching, then penalise their staff for having these different. The tables can't possibly not be in rows or in a square with the seal group and the octopus group who are the lower level. Mix them all up, it doesn't matter. No. Do what works.
Stage, not age. I really believe in that. Yeah. And the mixed ability classes, because it really does make a difference. Like, why are we setting kids and just putting them into groups? No. It's great for the kids in set one and boost their confidence. Does absolutely nothing for the kids who didn't quite make set one. Certainly nothing for the kids who didn't make set 2 or 3 either.
But they're not around then that next stage of learning and the next bit of information.
Well, they just go, what's the point?
Yeah.
Can't even achieve a D, or a D is the most I could achieve, so why am I even going to try? And why can you only achieve a D? Actually, in all the subjects, what if they did really well, or they developed a real enjoyment for a certain element of it that meant that they got higher than that? Why are you capping them at what they can achieve in a grade?
It only goes so far.
What's that teaching them?
It's like they actually have that paper where all you can get is a C.
My youngest son's come into mixed year groups a few years ago, and some of the parents weren't for it and some were, and they went ahead with it to see how it worked. Now, for my son, it was great, because when he was the younger in that year group, he was around the older kids. It gave him a little bit of confidence, a little bit of, bit more maturity, some different work, some different experiences that he might not have got until he went into that year group the next year. And then when he was the older in that group, it gave him a chance to show his nurturing side and support younger learners in his class, help them, and that he does have that nurturing side to him. So I think that's really good for him. So both, whilst he might not have necessarily excelled at learning that year because he wasn't around the older kids, what it did bring out in him is his nurturing side, his personality, which is just as important for me. He'll learn as he goes. He'll get to wherever he needs.
That was more important for me. The mental well-being, the mental health, the character, who they come out of school as a person from a social aspect. Yes, education is important. To a point, you are going to, and I have a very controversial view of this, but you are going to learn what you need to know to get through life. In fact, what you will do is most people will find something that you enjoy, that is your passion, that you will become hyper-focused on, that you'll become an expert in. And all of the skills around that you will develop based on your life experiences. This whole drive of attainment and engagement in, why do they have to do 9 subjects? We don't expect everybody to be an expert in everything. Yes, a baseline knowledge, but why are we expecting, why can't it get to a certain point in schools where we go, right, that's your baseline knowledge. What do you want to do now? And then just do 4 or 5 subjects that you really hone in on and do well. And that will just increase their confidence so much, which will also in turn help the mental health. If you look currently at the statistics, highest rate of suicide, highest rate of self-harming in teenagers that there has ever been in the history of ever. Where does that all originate from? Education is where it originates from, because the education system is not meeting the needs of these kids. Education is causing these kids to self-harm, mostly. So, and why are we not able to just jumpstart this and move with the times like everywhere else?
I think, again, just from my social media and what I've seen in some of the families we work with, I think home education is much more popular. It's something I have.
But they're trying to stop that now, though, aren't they? They was talking about.
It's going to be a lot more regulated. But the reason.
And I do understand. I understand some of that, and there is a small portion of families where the kid is off the radar and they are at risk, and that people need to know about them. There's no eyes on them. I understand it. I really do. But it shouldn't be a one-size-fits-all process and rule, because there's reasons why people are trying to bring their children into a home educated environment, because the education system's causing them actual trauma. I mean, it says something then when we go into a home visit with a family, and it's really surprising when a teenager tells us they haven't self-harmed. Normally you'd want to be shocked that they have, but actually it's really, really common. Become so desensitized to that information now. It's terrible that it's like, oh yeah, like it should be shocking.
What you expect either, because it can self-harm isn't just what everyone might think it is. There's lots of different ways that they harm themselves physically and emotionally.
Yeah.
So to be able to identify it, again, if you are home educating, if you as a parent are not really sure, you haven't got that extra support around you, it can, there are certain times it needs more support around it, but to regulate it, I think it's just another way of trying to control what is happening, because it's something I've considered for probably my two youngest, but actually what they would lose the most from coming out of school is social. And that is the only thing that I think keeps one of my children in particular going to school every day, is he gets to see his friends, have social time.
Yeah, one of mine.
He does enjoy some of his teachers.
I think that's probably the case with most kids, to be fair, as well.
See, I home educated for a little while because of the school situation, and we didn't have a place straight away to move to.
And I bet you had a much happier child.
We had a much happier child, and if we were in a financial situation as a family where I could have home educated, I would have stuck to it.
Even now, like the kids come home and tell me how it's drilled into them that, you know, if you don't do well at school and do well in your GCSEs, like they're literally life or death, that you're going to have the worst life ever. You're not going to do well in your career. And I just say to them all the time that I dropped out of college. I did really rubbish in my GCSEs, because when you look back now, I probably had loads of neurodiversity, like needs hadn't been met or whatever. And I've not done bad at all. We've ended up in a situation, you the same. Academically, the two of us.
Say I had failed education.
Same.
I failed because I did fail.
Didn't go to uni, went straight into work, learned so much.
Different. I changed a new job. I'll know about optical. I know about dental. I've worked in shops. I've worked in pubs. I've worked in schools. I've worked in offices. I've done it all because I enjoy a bit of change and a bit of.
Yeah. And actually what comes with that is people skills, relationship building skills, loads of things, personality. Get through about it. And I'll talk about myself as well. But no, I think, and I say that to my kids all the time. It's like, actually, if you really put your mind to it and you really become passionate about something, you can achieve absolutely anything. Look at mummy. Hard work, determination, literally that has got to be your willpower, your focus, you know, the want and desire to do well in anything that you do, as long as you try your best. That's all that matters.
Went to college, went to uni, got his degree in whatever it was, something sport. He absolutely does nothing with it now.
Yeah.
And all that came out of it was a student going to pay back.
Yeah.
So, and does something completely different, which he
has excelled at, that he didn't even do his education in.
I was very lucky that my mum, even though I was academic, she didn't force me to be academic just because I could be. She let me do what I wanted to do, and that was theatre, as everyone knows. There's nothing to talk about. But even though I didn't stick to it per se, like I don't do shows, what I learned through doing something I enjoyed was sticking to something.
Yeah.
And it now comes out in TikTok.
Exactly.
On paper, like people would look at me and go, "Oh, she's got a BTEC. Like, what's she going to be good at?" It doesn't matter.
But you really have brought that to life in your job, in the social media side of things.
You don't have to live and die by your GCSE. I did something I enjoyed and I did well at it because my mum let me do it. But I knew children in school who were forced to do academic stuff, and they'd be crying and they'd be revising right up to the minute we walked into the test.
Working at GMT, I've been able to do what I did all of those years do loads of different jobs, learn loads of bits of things from all of them,
Yeah.
and then I've just become who I am and do the job that I do because I understand all
Whole
the
in
things that
every-
go along in all the areas of the organisation. Not all of it. I'm not an expert in any of it, but I can understand, I can support, I can help.
I don't know. They are definitely experts in some. You're probably experts in some areas of the organisation over me at this point. Yeah.
Where does it go? But that's if they allowed that in schools and in education, what
Yeah.
you like you said before.
It's like
what do you
trial and
enjoy?
error, isn't it? Like you in year 9, you've picked what you want to study.
You're stuck.
Yeah.
Like you're picking French, you're doing French.
And again, that all boils down to the teacher, the person. If you get a really good teacher, you'll do really well. If you get a rubbish teacher, you're screwed. Get a good social worker, you'll get a good outcome. Get a rubbish social worker, you're screwed. That's pretty much how we roll. So it's all cool with me. Right. So next question is, what was the hardest leadership moment for you this year and how did it change you? Which one? The restructure. Yeah, that was hard. And obviously everything happened at once this year. And, we had an accumulation of situations that all kind of happened at the same time. I mean, at least we got it all out of the way. But we learned so much, but it's absolutely changed me.
It was
really difficult. Obviously, we had an issue with a previous shareholder who wanted the organisation to be fully for profit, and we're not. So that was difficult because it impacted us financially as a result of having to kind of defend that position of helping people, which go figure, like as if you'd think that would be a thing, like people would care that you want to do that. Then we had some difficulties with previous staff, directors, head of finance, who caused no end of problems in the organisation of finances. And that was a big learning for me, really. And, we're so lucky with Stefan, who is just an absolute legend and fantastic at everything that he does. But he's had to sort out so much that was left in a mess. And I think the biggest thing for me there, do you know what's really annoying on this side of things for me is I've listened to podcasts. I listen to podcasts all the time. I listen to Diary of a CEO, I listen to loads of things, Joe Dispenza, all sorts of different stuff that I think I've actually heard that on a podcast, but not then put it into practice. But I think you do have to have the experiences as a business owner yourself in order to learn. You can't learn from other people telling you that, what their learnings are. And I think it was just meant to go that way. So you do then learn that, whatever it is that you need to learn. For me, it was that you employ people to do specific jobs because, like we were talking before about education, you can't be an expert in absolutely every area of your life. And when you when you start a business from scratch, like I did in my living room, I never for one moment thought it would go to the level that it did, although I've always aspired to do well and set a good example for my children of working hard and achieving and putting what I'm doing to good use in helping others. What I didn't envisage is when you recruit people to do specific areas that are not your skill set or forte or your understanding as much, that then they might not be done quite in a way that is helpful to you and actually in certain cases potentially malicious. And I was focusing on my passion point, which was psychology, which was helping people, which was the delivery and the operational and helping the staff go out and support the families and attending the meetings and just working 20-hour days doing all of that and developing the model and everything that I love and that's my aspiration. I'm thinking, there's an accountant there and there's a director there and there's a head of finance there and they all know that area. And then it all come kind of crashing down at once when the head of finance left and we realised exactly how bad things were, that, hadn't been doing certain things that we thought were, that it was just a chaotic mess, wasn't it? It's spent about 9 months having to sift through the organisation of the finances because we were, and, essentially not all potentially their fault completely. I think the growth that we were experiencing at that time was completely unprecedented. None of us expected that. And maybe the pressure of that growth had an impact and really it outgrown all of us. And everybody probably tried the best at points. But it just ran away with us. And Then on top of that, we then hit the whole government change situation where you kind of nothing happens for the first few months, year or so of a new government. And then all of a sudden, absolutely everything stops while they kind of get all their initiatives in place. And you have like a limbo period of like 6 months. Yeah. Where nothing happens. They're reevaluating commissioning structures and pathways, and nobody in local authorities, ICBs, NHS even know where that funding is going. So that happened. At the same time, some of the contracts naturally come to an end because they were due to. And I mean, there was a few things, I mean, there's more like that all kind of happened at the same time. We had a few issues with some of the agencies that we're using that, you know, essentially, you know, were not great, and that caused us financial difficulty as well. And nobody will ever understand the experiences that we have had in the last 2 years as a result of external influences and people that you don't expect to happen when you're just trying to change the world for the better. And having not walked in our shoes, and you almost attract people when you get to a certain point in business that not the nicest side of people, I've learned. And I think I've learned the most about people in the last 2 years of my life than I have in the first 40 years of my life. And I think it's really hard to identify characteristics in others that you don't possess yourself. So it's been shocking, it's been flooring at times, but I feel better now really that I'm out the other side and it's happened, because the people you think you can rely on sometimes don't turn out to be the case. And, you know, there's so many people in the world that have experiences like that. And I've kind of danced through 40 years of my life thinking it's all sunshine and rainbows, loving unconditionally, thinking, you know, there's good in everybody and always seeing the good in everybody and not thinking anybody can do anything to you that would be bad. But I never having had any mental health struggles in my entire life. And I really went through it over the last couple of years to the point that, you know, nobody really knows. You probably, out of everybody in my whole life, saw the most. And I'm grateful for you and the support that you've given me when you've been going through it yourself for similar reasons. Yeah. But I wouldn't change it for the world now, because I just think it was lessons that I needed to learn, taught me, changed me, as the question asked, completely as a person. But for the better, I feel, because it's taught me that I've got a level of strength I never knew I had. I never needed before, but now I've got that skill to draw on. If anything, throw anything at me now.
Once you've been through what feels like the worst time of your life,
yeah,
and then you realise, well, actually, I still came out of it.
Yeah.
Everybody survived it.
And I'd rather be the person who suffers that pain as a result of other people's actions 10 times over again than be the kind of person that does that to somebody else. So I'm quite comfortable with the decisions that have been made, the way that we have operated, how we've held ourselves. And good always wins at the end of the day, because you can go to bed, sleep at night and know that everything that you've done is right. And, you know, even by the people that have done you wrong potentially, you've still done right by them, despite whether they say that to be the case or not to others.
Everyone's had their own feelings and experiences about the situation, haven't they? And I think there's been sleepless nights in this year, definitely. We've navigated something we've never had to do before, not always knowing which way to go, and then having to seek that external advice. You know, are we doing this right? Can you direct us in this? Because that is your field and that is your expertise. Being in those conversations, hearing and understanding these are your options, you need to choose one, or this is your only option, you need to go with it. It's not been an easy process. It's been really difficult.
And it's learning that no matter whether you enjoy certain parts of it or understand certain parts of it or not, you have to know absolutely every single crevice of your business. Don't trust other people to do something which is ultimately your child, because they're never going to do it in the most meticulous same way. I mean, it wasn't all the way through to the point where we got to the size that it's impossible for me to do everything. And we had to have the departments and the additional people. I managed our finances for all of that time. And then it wasn't until it was handed over to somebody else that everything just went wrong. And actually, I'm not very good at finances, but what that taught me is don't be so hard on yourself, because you clearly were, because look how well you did, look where you got us to, and look what happened when you handed it over to somebody else to oversee. but it's always still keeping your finger on the pulse in every single element of the business is what I've learned, no matter what. Even if you think you can trust absolutely everybody in it, it's just making sure, don't take your eye off the ball and get distracted by something that you love doing. Make sure you've got your processes in place, your structures in place to get your reports, so that you know every single element that's going in, out, around, and you understand your staff, you understand your people, because that's been a big one for me.
I think now as well, having those morning half an hours of
managers, really well.
Which started off for, a purpose at the time, a focus that we needed to focus on for a number of weeks, but actually now having all of those managers in the room for half an hour in the morning saying, look, these are our updates, this is where we're at, do you need anything, is there anything we need to know about, do you need our answers to any questions? That's been really good, and I think they enjoy that too.
And it's such a good team of people, all with the same drive, the same passion, on the same road.
You all don't know the answers to everything. This is where I'm at with this, but I just need to know the next step, can you?
But the core of everybody that's working with us is kindness, which I love. What did you learn about yourself that you didn't expect this year?
So I've always been named as a very direct person, which is absolutely fine. I am direct. I know that I am. I don't always put emotion and much buffering into, an email and WhatsApp, even a conversation, but I have had to not be that direct this year because of some of the conversations I've had to have with people that have not been nice, have not been ones I've wanted to have. I've had to think about how I am coming across and how I can change and reflect on myself. And that's not a bad thing. It's never a bad thing. No one is a perfect person. We can all change if needs be to support other people around us. And that's what I've had to do. Yes, I am who I am, but I can also reflect.
What did you learn about yourself that you didn't expect?
I think I'm a bit the opposite. So I think I have learned that it's okay to not be everybody's cup of tea. You can't physically please everyone, and it's so draining trying to.
I'm with you on that one.
You've got a kind heart and you're kind to everyone. Someone said to me, it's not your job to make somebody like you, it's your job to be nice and kind, and they will make that decision. And as long as you've done everything how you want it and how you would like to be treated, that's fine. And along with that is saying no. I'm a chronic yes person, even if it's not something I'm super comfortable with. I'm not very good at saying no.
Yeah, absolutely. No one ever, in this room or in this organisation, sets out to go, I'm going to read it. Therefore, if somebody is upset, we can have a conversation, talk it through, we can explain our sides to it, but we're all good people. So.
Yeah, I think I've learned to trust my own judgment in people again, because I think I did, had no issue with that whatsoever. Then had a catalogue of situations where I learned a lot about people's capabilities and motives and agendas in a very short space of time, and lost a lot of confidence in my judgment of people, because I never thought for a million years that those people would do the things they did, and then lost all confidence in my judgment of, how on earth did I not see this? How did I not see this happening? How did I not see that person would be capable of doing something like that? For quite a while, and even, confidence in my own decisions dipped for a while, and, what am I even doing? Is, am I even able to do this? And this year really, really kind of come through that and feel like I'm not only back to where I was before all of that happened, I'm even stronger in my judgment and intuition than I was before, because I've learned to learn again how to judge people. And I've also probably developed a skill that I didn't have before in being able to identify certain things that might not be quite right, or trust my gut instinct more, that I always would previously probably suppress, because I always just want to see the good in everybody. And that's the way I've just lived life. Like my mum always said to me, you do things the wrong way around. You trust everybody until they break your trust. You shouldn't trust anybody until they earn it. I don't think I'm quite there with that yet, because I think that's kind of the core of my character. I trust that there's good in everybody still. But I'm quite pleased that I've come out the other side of this where my trust in people hasn't completely disintegrated, and I've not gone so far the other way, because could have done with a lot of the stuff that's gone on. But actually, I feel like I've still kept that part of it, but with enough cautiousness, but still enough trust in my own judgment. So yeah, unexpectedly, that.
I once worked somewhere, so she'd make me upset all the time, And I'd come home and be like, oh, she said this and it's hurt my feelings. And my mum would said to me, I know I sound dead drunk here, but she was like, well, there's going to be a Shelley in every office. And I was like, I know, but there's also Rachel's in every office. And just because Shelley's loud and brash and was one of them people that said, oh, I'm just honest, but actually just use that as an excuse to just not be a nice person.
Yeah.
There's also Rachel's and Emma's and Lucy's in every office.
Yeah.
You don't have to adjust your personality to bow down to someone like that. You can still
challenge it
and keep
and you can kindly challenge. And I think it's really important to call stuff like that out honestly, because if you do, you just stop that person in the tracks if you highlight those behaviours. Because sometimes, and then actually it's remembering that there's a reason why. There's a need behind every behaviour. There's a reason why they behave the way they do. There's a reason why the people that we were just talking about over the last couple of years behave the way they did. And it's, you know, a lot of the time due to stuff that experiences that they've had in their life at certain points that's made them think a certain way or view things a certain way, and potentially quite distorted views of certain things sometimes because of their experiences have shaped the way they see people. Even people's intentions can be misinterpreted as a result of people's experiences. But it's really hard to remember that when people are just horrible.
When people tell you, oh, you just need a thick skin. No, I don't want to have a thick skin. I shouldn't have to change because of someone else.
Yeah.
As long as you've got kindness at your core, that's all.
I think that's where I've got to in 5 or 6 years ago now, in that I am who I am. I know who I am. I am kind. I will help you if you need it. And also can say no sometimes if I can't do that. And it's going to break my whole family because I have a bad day. But they're not always going to like me as a person, and that's okay.
I think that's an age thing as well, isn't it? I think as your kids get older as well, like one big thing for me is being acutely aware of how much they watch me now. The older they get, the more awareness they've got of the world and everything around them and other people. And as they get older, they're sort of understanding that people operate in different ways and they see actions of different people and they're analysing it. And I think when you become aware and they get older and they're not as oblivious as they are when they're little, it kind of helps you become the best version of yourself as well anyway. But I just literally judge everything I do, the way I am, who I am as a person, by am I happy that my kids are seeing that this, would my kids be happy with the decisions I'm making and how I'm operating and how I'm acting, and measure everything against that. And actually that's all that matters, setting a good example for them of how to be a good human being.
When you're raising someone to live in this world after we're no longer, you need to be confident they're going to be happy, have the life they want, whether that's in a school, university, or travelling the whole world and never coming back.
That's what we were saying before on your deathbed. You're not going to be like,
I know. Yeah.
Around me who love me, who want to care.
I'm so glad I was kind and I set an example of kindness to my children. That'll be.
I'm so proud when I see my kids doing really nice things at school and showing how clever they are or how fast they can run.
Yeah.
But what I'm actually really proud of is when they show compassion to another child.
Yeah, exactly. Right, we're not far off the end of these questions now. What decision did you make this year that you're most proud of?
To start a very new business.
Yeah.
Which I never in my lifetime, after years of saying it, I've never been a manager myself. I was a manager and I am a manager, and then thinking, what else could I do? Which will not only continue that we need to get different voices in different ways, but will actually be something that I've started from scratch with Emma, obviously, as my mentor and my she's done it so many times before. Probably with her eyes closed, but it's just letting me have the freedom to figure it out for myself as I go. So yeah, starting my own business, we're getting some really amazing agents staff and schools to support those neuroaffirming ways. I never thought I'd do that, so that's been a good way to spend the year.
Yeah, I agree.
A good way to start when it all
exciting. Yeah, right.
Probably the decision to believe in it, believe that I can do it, and I can manage 4 Instagram accounts, a raffle.
Only 4, I'm sure there's more.
I believe that we can rebrand and come out of this looking really strong and have the courage in my conviction where you said like, oh, I don't like this, but I like this, and then not being like defeated and go, oh, she hates it. Because you didn't, you liked it, it just needed some tweaks, and having the confidence in myself that, I can do it.
Yeah, I love the new branding. I think it's really professional. It's sleek. As Maya would say, lit. That's a new word of the moment. I love that. That was my favourite point, to be fair. Partly emotional blackmail. But yeah.
I'm never going to be a corporate girl. I'm always going to be a bit tongue-in-cheek.
I hate the corporateness of it, and I love. That's exactly why I wanted you to do what you do. Because, and I said that to you at the beginning, I want some personality in our branding because that's who we all are. We're not corporate people. We are full of personality. We can be completely inappropriate at times, sometimes accidentally. We laugh at lots of things, and that really started to come through this year in the socials, and probably will even more next year, and I love that.
Challenging Ofsted to the highest level possible.
And then dancing in the car park to a TikTok after representing myself in the High Court. That's why I love my job, literally. Like, no day is the same. My decision that made me most proud this year would be to keep going. And I don't think it was a moment of a conscious decision. I think it was a number of moments of that being a decision. And there were times that I was just like, I don't know if I can rally again. I don't know if can I even do this again? Is there anything left in me? And it's been the hardest year of all. And then I just thought, you know what? Every business goes through this. How lucky are we that we've gone 7 years before we've hit such a rocky period of time? Absolutely remember who you are. Of course you can do this, and your kids are watching. So get up, get out of bed, get to it, and making myself every single day walk into the office and keep going and showing everybody else that we can do it, and training my brain again, which I just absolutely kind of fluidly did before 2023, of that positive mindset and the positive law of attraction, and completely believed it. And then I lost that belief for quite a while, but because I lost that belief is why I think certain things went the way they did, because your mindset and the energy that you put out affects everything. So it's about, retraining my brain again to kind of get back in that mindset of positivity and looking at the good in everything and looking at the positives of everything. So I've had a few false starts with thinking that I'm back in that mindset, and then I've dipped again, but then that's because something else has happened. But I feel like I've just got it all out of the way now in 1 year, so that's a positive of that. And I've learned a lot that I needed to learn, obviously, that I've not had experience of in my whole life. And I'm a stronger person for it. I'm a happier person for it. My kids have learned as a result of what I've gone through, because they've seen some of it play out, and they've shown a real interest in me having to manage such tricky situations in the organisation over the last 12 to 18 months, a bit longer probably. So I feel like it's also taught them a lot as well, and given them a good start and some skill sets that I never had. Yeah, exactly. And they've both spent a bit of time in the organisation and shown real interest in certain parts of what we do. Yeah, so yeah, I'd say the biggest decision was to keep going. Always keep going. Things always get better. Right, let's have a look at the next one. What would you tell your January 2025 self if you could? Mine would be turn back around. Go back.
Yeah, but it's for the beginning, but then I think actually you'll get through it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
Keep powering through. Keep getting out of bed.
Yeah.
Keep turning up.
Yeah. I would probably say by the end of this year, you are going to feel like such a different person for the better that you never thought you could feel like that in a good way. It won't feel like that at the start, won't feel like that in the middle. But when you get to the end of the year, you can take a deep breath and go, actually, I get it all now. It's all for a reason.
And it's not even that we've got to the end of the year and it's all done with, and then we'll just go into next year and it's fine. We're going into next year with so many different things to look forward to into.
Yeah, and it's literally like all of a sudden there's just been this momentum gathered, and again it could be mindset related, and I really am a believer in that, because my mindset changed and everything started to get better. And some would say your mindset changed because things started to get better, but things were only getting better because of the grit and determination we all showed together as a team, and everybody just pulled together, and it was just,
we can see,
I think us going help. And I think it was really strong of us to do that, because we've tried to shield everybody from things for such a long time, because naturally as directors that's what you do, and you don't let people feel the stress or the worry. And I think we got to a certain point back end of summer this year where we sat down and we were like, we've tried everything, we scratched our head, we are human beings, what do we do next? And we were like, you know what, let's involve as many people as we can in the organisation, and just sat them all down, explained everything that had happened, the accumulation of tornado a word I'm not going to say on this podcast, and then just that kind of camaraderie that came with that, and that uniting of, we've done so much for everybody for such a long time. Everybody's gone, right, what can we do for you now? And it was brilliant.
All of those trees have all just literally come together.
Yeah.
Everybody on there has said,
Yeah.
I can do something.
And it's worked. Yeah. I think that was really good, really good part of it, for sure. What about you, Rach? What would you tell your January 2025 self?
I would say it's not as bad as last year, because 2024 was my horrendous year. Not amazing, but that you'll come out the other side. Yeah, you'll come out the other side, and like you were saying, I think I am a bit of a different person.
Yeah.
The accumulation of the last 2 years.
I think I can see that you are so much more comfortable in who you are at the end of this year than you were at the beginning. I think that's a big obvious thing that I can see in you, and I feel like I'm so pleased that you feel that way at work, because it's lovely that we've got the kind of environment that makes somebody feel comfortable enough to just be themselves.
There's no mask at work.
Yeah, I love that.
And a lot of people say to me, like, when you first meet, you're really quiet, and like sometimes people think I'm really rude, and it's not. I'm just
getting to know
them. I'm just not comfortable.
And
then
I love sitting in my desk and overhearing the conversations out there. And
there's some crackers.
There is some good, and I always end up involved, and I shouldn't.
Yeah. Okay. Let's have a look at some of these. What phrase or running joke absolutely has to be retired?
I've got it. 6'7".
6'7".
I hear that again and think, yeah.
Oh, I've had it all. Like, the weekend just gone was 6'7" weekend, apparently.
In my house, I'm the one that brings it, because my kids, like, I've obviously got older ones as well. They absolutely don't want to hear me saying that because it's so cringe.
That's like my older ones, yeah. Mine is, that's the way it is. I've heard that so many times in meetings, particularly with Ofsted. That's just the way it is. No, it's not. It's not just the way it is. We can change the way it is. The only way something changes if you change the way it is. So that phrase should be retired and should not exist in anybody's vocabulary.
And I'm just being honest. You're not the way. You're just being cruel.
I think I would probably say, no, we can't. We can't do that.
Yeah.
It's something that really, because why can't we? If we really
mindset.
genuinely can't, like it's literally going to put someone's life in danger or we're breaking the law, then fine. But no, we can't do that at school, because we just don't do that at school. And no, we can't, because we usually can. If we just think about it differently.
Yeah.
And take away some of the...
It's, do you want to, though? Is that the real issue?
See what happens
in
a week or 2 weeks. And if we really, really can't sustain it, then fine. But usually in a few weeks, we've forgotten we're actually doing that thing that we couldn't do, and it's just carrying on as normal. Yeah.
The word can't, doesn't it? I say that to my kids all the time. No such thing as can't, and I sound like my parents when I say it, but it's so true. Because actually you can do anything. If GMT had a soundtrack this year, what song would it be? I Will Survive.
I'm not going to sing it.
Yeah. Just Keep Swimming.
Yes, Just Keep Swimming. Lots of soundtracks.
If this year was a film, what would the title be? Death Becomes Her, where she keeps getting killed over and over again and then still survives.
Right into the challenge. My head might be on backwards, but we'll go.
We're still going. I'm still getting up. Or Jaws. Dun, dun, dun.
What's behind me that I don't know is coming.
Exactly.
It's there, big sharp teeth we've got.
Yeah. But they all have happy endings. What is your funniest GMT moment this year?
Funniest, I think we had some real good fun on the dance floor at the charity ball. That was fun. We did laugh a lot. And at the, I'm not going to go into it. I won't describe exactly what happened. The TikToks have definitely got
there's loads of. It's just brought so much joy into everything, especially through a really challenging, controversial period. Just having that to just switch off and just do a TikTok that's just helped with everyone's mental health, actually. I think it's been a treatment.
Do anything like that.
Yeah, you are.
Through the year, you've got less and less. But like, I have obviously no social, what's the word? Awareness is probably the best one. So you'll be like, just come out with some like really heart-wrenching meeting.
You'll be like, do a TikTok.
What did I do? We're doing a pantomime, and you'll be like, get out.
That's a great idea. All on board.
I sent it.
Guys for your next year.
I sent her a reel the other day, and it was something like, when your boss is in work mode and you
And not friend mode.
and not friend mode. It's like, are you talking? I've literally got so much to do. What are you most grateful for as we close the year?
Everybody. We've got that who are in the team that are just willing to roll up the sleeve and pull off a pantomime, sort out a grotto, jump on a meeting if somebody else can't, and help with, I don't know the answer to this question. You have that.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. I can't disagree with that. I think even one further for me would be my children. They have really kind of helped me draw strength when I've needed to the most, and I've never appreciated them more, actually. They're the purpose of my life, and I need to get up every day.
My children actually as well. I appreciate that they actually, because I am now 40 and they will tell me I'm old, and that's fine, as much as I think I know what's going on in the world always.
Yeah.
One of my kids talked in acronyms all the time, and I figure those out, and I get it, and I understand it. But what they teach me helps me.
You bring it into work,
I get it.
And you teach me, because I go, what does that mean? And you straight away.
My kids are a little bit like ahead of that curve, and I think
we'll have it down by the time our kids get to that age. Yeah. We'll be cool grannies by then.
I'm already a granny, and I'm cool, so it's fine.
Yeah. What does GMT look like a year from now? Which I think is a really kind of good one to close on, really.
On a stage. I always say, like, I've gone off a bit of tangent here, but people only want you to have a certain amount of success and they'll be happy for you.
It's so true. So true.
Push past that amount of success and then people are like, oh, they're showing off.
Yeah, they don't like
Don't have it at GMT.
No, doesn't exist in GMT.
The sky is literally the limit.
Doesn't exist at GMT anymore. But no, that's very true. People, and this is the same for, I was having the same conversation with Steph actually the other day, our ambassador, and I was saying that to her, in the media, and you see it all the time, people build people up, and then the second they're doing too well, it just like it must be human nature. Or maybe it's an England thing, I don't know if it happens in other countries.
Yeah, like the American dream, you wouldn't have it over there, you want to be at the top.
Yeah. It's odd really, but I always say success makes kind people kinder and bad people worse.
Yeah.
And that's been evident, hasn't it, really, in a lot of things that we've seen over the years. But yeah, I think where I see us this time next year, I think grow, not just inside of the organisation, but in our minds again. There'll be more yet that we've got to learn. Still kind, always. And as long as that is the basis of everything that we are. Not take yourself too seriously. Realise when you've messed up a little bit and owning it and not digging your heels in. That's the biggest thing. I think we've all got the ability there to reflect really well and acknowledge when we might not get things quite right.
And it's easier just to put your hands up the first time, say sorry once, than having to keep apologising because you've made it worse and worse and worse and worse.
But even if we stayed exactly as we are now in a year, I'd be quite happy. I think we're very lucky. I'm very grateful. And we'll always aspire to do, the most we can possibly do. Yeah, I think we're in a really good spot. And I'd be quite happy if we could just build for a bit.
Well, let's play Shania Twain. Looks like we made it. I think on that note, we should fade out to that song.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's Great Minds Together podcast.
If you found this conversation valuable, please share it with others.
And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can learn more about our work and resources at greatmindstogether.co.uk and follow us on social media for regular updates.
Until next time, keep celebrating difference and driving inclusion.